So I think that this is the sentence we will hear lots today, that data is the new oil. It comes from Cséfalvay. He designed a Tesco clock card. Maybe you know that, and he was a mastermind beyond. But data is able to achieve more than oil, I think, and maybe we can discuss later on. One is what you mentioned already, that data is recyclable. So you can recycle it, and you can use it, reuse it, and feed into different algorithms. But I think the data is more in that case, that data is able to create a quite new economy. We are living in a quite new economy. I will go into detail. And data is able to make I would say rather a magical transformation in a way, how we turn industrial product into services. So I will look at all these issues in the context of Europe, and using a little bit of different language, I will rather describe three big battles where we are. And the first is what Europe has lost. I would say that the lost battle on the new economic models, platform economy, and the new consumption model. In this year, The Economist published this picture, Mark Zuckerberg as a Roman emperor. And when you look at the whole idea, how is working the Facebook, the idea is connect and conquer. Maybe sounds good, yeah? So that when you connect people, you can conquer or you can rule the world in that case. And the more you have the user, the more you have the ad revenues and so on. But I think how this is working, the platform economy, how it's working, is a little bit much more, and it comes rather the old-fashioned Roman saying, divide and conquer, divide and rule. Because how they are working, this is when we use the terms of economists, this is the two sides markets. You have two different products on the both sides of the market. These are connected by the platform using algorithms and using also big databases. They have two networks on the both sides. That is why they are going and growing very quickly and globally. And that is why they have some tendencies to monopoly, and that is why they are so efficient. On the other hand, we can see that also from the consumption side, the new consumption patterns, the key is, in that case, that digitalization lower the barrier to market entry, lower the barrier for private person, and lower the barrier also for the companies. How can we do businesses? There are many different terms for that, such as peer-to-peer economy or sharing economy or collaborative consumption. The basic idea is the same. The basic idea is that today private persons, maybe without companies, can interact in a business, and that is the other part of the platform economy. And what I am saying in that case, that this is the battle of Europe lost, because it is a huge magical transformation what we experiencing with the platform economy. What is in platform economy is more important is rather the access than the ownership. To have access to some services rather than to own them. Industrial product will be somehow replaced by services. Platforms increase market efficiency, not the production efficiency. And we have platforms instead of company, and also in the employment there are many changes, freelance self-employment instead of corporate employment. That is the magic. How can we transform industrial product, let's say car, into services? When it's just one point important, when we would like to get from A to B, then in that case we have many services provided by the platform economy. So why Europe has lost the battle, and what battle has lost? In that case, lost the battle of the digital platform that driven by private and personal data. Just think about it. More than 2 billion people are using Facebook, yeah, with private and personal data. We can complain that they have, or Facebook and other have a monopole position, and at European level we discuss it many times. Maybe we can tax it and other economic measure we can take, but generally is the case that Europe wasn't really quick to move in this direction. But the good news is that the next battleground is already there, which is rather based on public and industrial data. How can we perform public services, let's say education, health, administration, and so on. And I think that is where we should be prepared much more than was the previous battle. It is not an advertisement for cigarette anyway. It's just an example how can we use it. The young guy called Paul Douin, working in France, running a small startup, and he promises just using a simple algorithm, we can reduce the unemployment in France by 10%. What is the miracle beyond? That is not a miracle beyond anyway. Using big data at the labor offices, matching better supply and demand, it is possible to reduce the unemployment. Just as one example, how can we do that? The second battle, I think, is rather imperative. Europe must win a battle. Otherwise, Europe won't be competitive anymore. And that is the battle on the new technologies. I don't want to go into deep detail just to say some examples and rather the economic consequences, which are much more important. Just look at Adidas. Adidas introduced last year the so-called Speed Factory, producing 500,000 pairs of shoes by robots. 160 robots are able to produce them. But the most important is production in Ansbach in Bavaria. So robotization make it possible that, no, it's coming back. That means the production can move back to the consumer market. At the time of the globalization, we had a very big, very complicated and long global value chains. Now it is possible that the production comes back. Not the jobs, anyway. Those jobs move to Southeast Asia, won't come back anymore. Production will come back, and the production needs not too much workforce. Or look at the 3D printing. The consequence is nearly the same. It is just an example, the French company called Gemio, how to produce rings. In that case, you can select your choice by 3D graphics. After that, the frame of the ring will be printed by 3D printing technology, and certainly the goldsmith must adorn later on, but it costs less. And the most important is you can create a tailor-made and small-scale products. So that is the key in 3D printing. That's also with the consequence that manufacturing can move closer to the consumer. And when you look at the new technology, in particular the car making, digitalization, in the car making, when we will have the driverless or the autonomous car, the value added will shift to the digital content, also driven by data, nearly 60%, which will change dramatically the whole industry. So I think it is the battle we should win or must win, because the value creation will move to the digital content, production will move to the consumer, and it has the possibility to reintroduce industrial production to the developed countries. It will reshape the global economy fundamentally, as we know today. And the last battle, I would say, where we have the possibility to win relatively easily. I won't say that we can win just so quickly. It is rather a new innovation, how we built up a new innovation system. In Hungary, we use the phrase Industry 4.0. It is very often used in Central and Eastern Europe and also in Germany. But be careful with that. It is not a magical formula. It is not something that the company leaders go to the shop and now I would like to buy Industry 4.0 and put into practice. Because it is an integration of different technologies such as 3D printing, big data analysis, Internet of Things, and so on, which make it possible based on data, the communication between machine and human, and between machine and machine, which is much more important. But sometimes we forget that the key, oh my God, the key to the success of this Industry 4.0 is the ecosystem. Without ecosystem of partners, universities, R&D institutes, large industrial manufacturers, startup, digital providers, and so on, you can't have a real successful Industry 4.0, and you can't use it. So you need for that an ecosystem, and when you look at, in that case, you need also data security. And the second where is crucially important, how the new innovation system is developing. Yoshi Vadi said once at the OECD meeting that the age of the generals is over, meaning in that case that the age of the previous age innovation was driven by the big companies such as General Motors, General Electric, or even General Eisenhower, just a hint of the military in that case. But nowadays, innovation is more democratic. That is, you need just a good internet connection, you need a laptop to it, and a good idea, certainly. Without a good idea, you can't do it. So that is what normally I call in that case, you need the ecosystem for that. And Europe and also Hungary, I think, has good position for that. So to summarize in a quick way, we have three battlegrounds and battles in that case. The first, we lost, but don't worry about it. The next is coming, which will be built on industrial data and public data, how to provide public services and how to form and transform the industry. But the consequence, what we see, the magical shift from industrial product into services. The must-win battle has the consequence that the digital, because of the digital transformation within the global value chain, so the value creation is shifting towards digital technology and near to the consumer, which will transform the whole global economy. And we have one where I think we have very good chances to build up an innovation ecosystem which is more democratic, more bottom-driven, and more mass innovation. When you look back just the history of the industrial revolutions, we had successful industrial revolution when innovation wasn't something exclusive thing. It was really mass driven, and I hope that step by step we can go forward in this battle fields, and with this kind of events, what we have today, it is also a step moving forward to create a successful Europe. Thank you very much for your kind attention.